Hi. My previous video was to do with strengthening the muscles around the joints. It's one of the questions I get asked a lot: how can I make myself stronger? The other question I also get asked a lot is, do I have any stretches to ease the aches or the pains? So whilst there are many stretches, there doesn't seem to be that much by way of guidance as to how to do the stretch. So I've got two tips for you for the new year. The first tip is, when you are stretching, you do not necessarily need to increase your range of movement of the joint. On the contrary, what happens is that when a person says their neck is tight or their back is tight, actually speaking, for most people it's the opposite. The area has become loosened up or strained, and which we understand, and as a consequence of the strain, the muscles around it go tight, and that's the perception that we feel of tightness. And in a sense, this response is there to try and hold the loose area together whilst it starts to heal. So if you do want to get relief of that muscle spasm, it's important that you do the stretch, but only to try and restore what natural range of movement there already was in that area. Of course, if you try to increase the amount of movement in that area, you're making a stretched tissue potentially even more stretched out. I hope that makes some sense for you. It's not always the case, but unless you know what you're doing and you're in pain, stretch, but stretch gently, because you don't want to invoke that consequence of increasing the range of movement of something that's already moving too much. And the second type of stretch that people don't necessarily take account of is the one of symmetry. So say, for example, I want to move my shoulder back. One shoulder is stiffer, one shoulder moves back more fluidly. And yet when people do the stretches, they actually try and stretch equal amounts to both sides. They think, and correctly to a point, that they want to bring harmony and symmetry to both sides, but actually they may not necessarily be achieving that. Because if, say, this side is stiff and this side is already quite mobile, there's little sense in making an area that's already mobile more mobile. So if you're going to do the stretch, you ought to be thinking of stretching out the area that is intrinsically tighter and not doing so much to this side, so that after the stretch both sides are reasonably equal. Well, those are my two tips today, following on from yesterday's video about developing muscle strength. This is more about stretching. So remember, you don't necessarily want to stretch to increase range of movement, and if you want to stretch, try and think of the symmetry. Make a tight side move more, and the side that's already moving, don't labour that side too much. If you found this useful, I would appreciate a thumbs up. Thank you.